Hello everyone, I'm James O'Brien, physical therapist, and in this video, you're going to learn how to deal with a low arch foot. So for all you foot fetish people out there, first off, that's disgusting. But number two, try not to get too excited because I am about to show you my feet. So here is my left foot, and as you can see, I have a relatively low arched foot. So when dealing with a low arch foot here, it really comes down to a battle of stiffness between the calf muscles and the arch muscles, all right, or the foot intrinsic muscles as they're called, which help raise up the arch. So as my foot intrinsic muscles engage, I raise up my arch like so, all right. So what ends up happening is these calf muscles end up overpowering these foot muscles, and here's how they do it. When my calf muscle either goes through a stretch, like here, or it engages, it pulls on the calcaneus, all right, or this heel bone, and it pulls it up slightly backwards and it tips it downward. And in the process, it will lower the arch, okay? So for example, here I have a raised arch, I go to stretch, the tendency is for my arch to collapse, all right? Let's show you that one more time. Arch is raised, that's as far as I could go without allowing my arch to collapse. I allow my arch to collapse, bam. You can see I can go further, all right? In that case, my calf won, my foot intrinsic muscles lost. Another way it could collapse, which is a little bit less apparent, is my arch is engaged right here. I go to engage the calf muscles. As they're pulling hard through the strong calf muscle, that can allow the arch to collapse. You can see there. No engagement of the arch. Here's engagement of the arch, all right? So whether I'm going through this ankle dorsiflexion motion or the stretch to my calf or in propelling, if I don't engage my arch muscles adequately, it will lead to a collapsed arch, and that will lead to an array of problems. So now this all begs the question, how do I engage the foot? Or how do I get into what's called the short foot posture? All right, and the reality is this just takes a lot of practice in staring at your foot, all right? So I just tried teaching someone this earlier today, and this is what people will commonly do. They'll simply curl the toes. This is not the exercise. When we walk, all right, we really have like 3 points of contact, all right? We've got the outside ball, the inside ball, and the heel, all right? When I do this, that's not how we walk. We don't lift the balls up off the ground as we curl our toes, all right? Instead, what we want to do is we want to engage the foot so that the balls of the foot stay on the ground. I like to think that I'm rolling this calcaneus forward, going through this motion here as I bring the balls backwards, okay? So it looks something like this, okay? That's me raising my arch, okay? Notice this ball here stays on the ground. That's known as the short foot posture, all right? And again, if you've never done this before, it's harder than it looks, okay? And it just takes practice and a fair amount of time staring at your foot, all right? But here's another cue that can also help, all right? Keeping the heel on the ground, all right, but for right now, I'm gonna take it off. You can think about taking the front of your foot and pushing it down, okay? So if my heel stays on the ground, in this front part of my foot, or the forefoot, goes through what's called plantar flexion. As that goes downward, that will also raise my arch. So another way to think about this is my heel stays on the ground, and I'm trying to dig those balls of my feet down into the ground. All right, that's a cue that helped me out a fair amount, all right? So here I'm in the short foot posture. So I can think about digging the balls of the foot into the ground. I can think about rolling that calcaneus forward. I can also think about rolling the balls backwards. But one thing I'm not gonna think about is how sexy my feet are. And for all you foot fetish people out there, please contain your excitement. One thing to be mindful of when doing this exercise is to not engage a muscle called the anterior tibialis, all right? So the anterior tibialis does this, okay? It lifts your foot upward, okay? This is called ankle dorsiflexion, all right? So if you look right here, right there, this big tendon that pops out, that's my anterior tibialis, all right? Because that tendon comes down, right, in this direction here, when I simply just dig my heel into the ground, you can see there, my arch raises some, okay? But this muscle is engaged, this is engaged right here. And I can feel that it engages because when I dig my heel into the ground, I feel that tendon pop out, all right? So again, this takes a lot of concentration. And I say staring at your foot because you can actually see that your arch raises. And eventually your brain will make the connection to the nerves to be able to raise the arch while keeping this relaxed. Right now, that tendon isn't bulging into my hand. I go and just lift that heel, dig in, now it is. You can see my toes actually want to flare when I do that too. So that's another sign saying I'm doing it incorrectly. So make sure that anterior tibialis stays relaxed. Dig those balls downward, roll that calcaneus forward, pull those balls backwards. Bam, you got a raised arch. This is nice and relaxed here. Another great exercise to help build up the arch is the toe splay exercise. So in this exercise, all I'm thinking about is splaying my toes wide apart. And in particular, I'm thinking about taking this big toe inward and maybe slightly downward, all right? And the reason why this helps support the arch, here, I'll show you here, is because of a muscle called the abductor hallucis. So right now, I have zero engagement going on. If I simply splay my toes, you can see how there's a little bit of engagement, all right? Now I'm thinking about doing the short foot posture and splaying the toes, and you can see it brings it up even more, okay? But the reason why, again, this helps support the arch is from this muscle called the abductor hallucis, which comes from the base of the big toe to the calcaneus, all right? As there's a contraction of that muscle, it helps pull the calcaneus a little forward, pull the toe backward to help raise up the arch, all right? So by simply splaying the toes, excuse me, here, let's see it a little better here. By simply splaying the toes wide apart like this, that will help support the arch. And in fact, if you splay the toes and do the short foot posture at the same time, that's a surefire way to help raise up the arch and make a stronger foot. So the reality is, guys, if you want to make a stronger foot, just do the toe splay exercise and do the short foot posture exercise all the time. Do it with your walking. If you're just standing there, do it while standing. Do it while sitting. All right, do it while doing a heel raise exercise. Do it while doing a balance exercise. The more frequently you do it, the better the nerve connections are going to be to go to the foot, which will help make a stronger foot. And for example, like if you're walking and you have your arch engaged, all right, my arch is engaged, I'm walking, you can see here, I just engaged my arch, I go to step forward. Now I'm actually getting a nice stretch in my calf without blowing out my foot. So by simply engaging the arch during walking or running, that's helping make a more flexible, less stiff calf and a more stiff, stronger arch. Therefore, reestablishing the balance. All right, so far we talked a lot about increasing the strength of the foot muscles, but we haven't talked a whole lot about increasing the flexibility in the calf. So it's kind of obvious, but needless to say, if you have a low arch and you're going to stretch your calves, first thing you need to do is make sure you raise the arch and only stretch as far as you can while maintaining that arch. If you stretch too far and your arch depresses, well then you're just blowing out your arch, you're not really stretching your calf. So if you're stretching your calves and you have a low arch, make sure you raise the arch first. Stretching is good, but one of the problems with stretching alone and in and of itself is it actually causes some micro tearing, and some of that tearing over time can lead to literally a strained muscle. All right, so I think stretching is good, but you just have to be cautious with it, okay? Nevertheless, what you can be a little bit less cautious with, and which is definitely a lot safer and is extremely effective, is some form of massage, all right? So here's how massage works, all right? So let's say this is a healthy muscle, all right? It stretches, but it also contracts nicely. Nice, healthy muscle, amazing, all right? Here's a muscle with a knot in it. It's knotty, if you will, okay? Bad, okay? Not good, all right? You'll notice here that the knot does not stretch. In fact, what happens is other parts get overstretched, all right? So we want to bust up that knot through some form of massage, and then we get a nice uniform stretch. But also, too, we get a nice contraction. Because you can see, with this knotty knot, it neither stretches nor contracts nicely. So hands down, one of my favorite ways to address knots in my calf would be using a foam roller. So here's a quick little tutorial of how to do some foam rolling. Now the calf muscles go from the Achilles tendon all the way up to the back of the knee here. So I'm going to search around for areas of my calf. Notice I'm going to the inside here. I'm going to the outside. I'm looking around for places that are particularly tender. And let's find one. So I am on one right there. What I can do is once I'm on a spot that's particularly tender, I can just keep the pressure there, all right? So I just sustain pressure on it, all right? The other thing I can do is what's called pin and stretch technique. So I keep the pressure and I can move my foot up and down. If I want to be really particular about this, I can raise my arch and then move my foot up and down. Yeah, big bang for the buck here, folks. All right, just like so, back and forth. I can get on that knot and I can do a little grinding back and forth. Now, if you've never done this before, it can be extremely painful. If you're kind of used to it and you've done it a fair amount, it gets less painful over time. Not because you're getting tougher, God no, definitely not. But rather, you're actually freeing up the kinks, all right? So, like so. When I do this exercise, I like to just graze my butt along the floor here rather than lifting all the way up, because then I kind of run out of room in my shoulders. You can't really see in the whole video here, but by simply gliding my butt along the floor helps me find the places that are tender. And then once I get on one, I can grind it out. I can do my pin and stretch technique to help free it up. I think if you were to do this for about 2 to 3 minutes on each calf per day, it can make a huge difference. And often, by simply freeing up the calf muscles without doing a lot of foot strengthening in and of itself, it can help with a lot of foot and ankle pain. The two combined, whew, unstoppable, folks. Lastly, it doesn't hurt to do some form of massage to the foot muscles themselves. And the reason for that is, remember, if a muscle is knotted, it doesn't contract well. So it neither stretches nor contracts well. So massage is good to help stimulate the muscle. It's also good to help the muscle relax more. So a lacrosse ball or a large bouncy ball, they're great to do some type of foot massage. So to massage the foot, what you'll do is you want to work where the muscles are, which are between the balls of the feet and the heel, all right? There's not a lot of muscle right on the bone, so just kind of work mostly in the arch. You want to be methodical about it. Start at the inside here, back and forth, get more central, then work your way to the outside, all right? When I use a lacrosse ball, I like to hold on to something for balance, okay? So right here, this isn't the best way to do it. I usually like to do it in standing, holding on to something, because it's kind of hard to control, all right? Again, I might find a spot that's tender, and then do a little pin and stretch, all right, back and forth like this, all right? Again, 2 to 3 minutes. As always, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. You're at your next party, it's kind of lame, you can whip out your foot, show a little bit of your foot strengthening exercises, tell people about this video. Just surefire win. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully you found it helpful.